Okay, finally we get round to Paul and Claire. How are you this evening?
Good, thank you, Charlie. Yes, good.
Okay, no concerns about what I'm going to ask you?
None whatsoever, Charlie. Fire away, mate.
Claire, you don't look
Yeah.
I am fine.
Okay, no problem.
If I can't answer, Claire will.
I'll just take over.
Okay, well, let's start from where we're starting. I believe that when you came here, that, I know that you guys are big community people, and obviously the potential for the community and the schoolroom and the building and the hall, that must have been evident quite early on for you, was it?
Yes, indeed. I think we arrived here in July 2016, and by September we'd got a fairly strong toddler group. And very quickly you began to see that the potential for doing things in the community was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many opportunities that came out of the toddler group. Pilates did.
Yeah.
And many of the other groups that we now have in church were born from that occasion. And you could see the impact that had on people from the community of Wibsey.
Okay. And toddlers, since we arrived at church, is something that had more associated under your control or leadership. Would you say that's a fair word, Claire?
It is. Toddlers came about because of Lynn. She knocked on our door and basically said, would you like a toddler group? And we said, yes, of course we would. Yeah. And since then, it's just grown and grown and grown. But the emphasis on the toddlers isn't just the children, it's everyone. It's everyone who walks through that door needs to be greeted, needs to have time spent with them to make them feel welcome and warm, and just being given a spiritual hug without actually realising what we're up to, I suppose. We've made sure that they get their cups of teas, they get the coffee, they get the time, that they get the time to sit with each other, and that they have a community feeling. And toddlers just took off, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's been brilliant. It really, really has been brilliant. Then obviously COVID hit. But one of the things that we discovered very, very early on is how important the food was to people. And we got involved with an organisation who came in, and they did presentations on healthy food, healthy eating. They involved the parents, the moms, the carers, the grandmas, and getting everybody involved with the food. Yeah. And it was great. It was great fun.
Superb.
It was superb.
And you begin to reach different demographics within the community that we're a part of. And that is what church is all about.
But it was lovely also because as you develop these relationships with people, you find out that behind closed doors there's an awful lot going on. We've dealt with modern slavery. We've dealt with domestic abuse. We've dealt with drugs. There's so much, isn't there?
Alcoholism.
Yeah, and that was all through toddlers.
That was all through toddlers.
Okay, not the toddlers themselves, just through
No,
toddlers.
the toddlers were well behaved.
Well, some of them were.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, so now moving the sort of focus on, you've both seen how the outreach group has started under Paul's guidance and how that's gone on to be the community cafe, and then we've gone on to incorporate wanting a new cafe in the new building. I take it you've both seen the inside of the new building?
No.
Well,
Only on videos.
I
I deliberately stayed away.
I have, but I'm having a tour tomorrow morning with Wayne.
Okay.
So, yeah, going back to 2017 was when I first levelled to the leaders in our church that we really needed to do something with that schoolroom. We were having pieces of concrete falling through the tiles, And my fear was, coming from a health and safety background, if that actually fell on some person, it could be dangerous. And then we ended up putting a safety net up, and we got some quotes in originally. And it was Peter and I that put our heads together and said, this is where we need to go. And at that time, I realised that the figures were going to go beyond. And then there was illness that came in, and then COVID. But what was brilliant is that they listened. They heard. It took a while, but they heard. And they started looking at grant providers that they'd never ever thought of using before. I have used Biffa a couple of times in the past. We'd even approached the WRU. That's not the Wales Rugby Union, that's the Wesleyan Reformed Union of Churches, where we are a part of, and they've granted us a grant. And together the money has come in brilliantly. And I am reminded of that verse in the book of Psalms, where it says, unless God builds the house, the labour is in vain. The prayer that's gone on behind this. We had a day of prayer 18 months ago, just about the grants. All that grant money came in, and quite simply, we have seen the grant money come in, still coming in for the kitchen, to meet the needs of what we have to have to get that work completed, and that's absolutely awesome. I saw your interview last night, and you were right, Charlie. It was a difficult time. Difficult time to go for it. Since COVID, prices have gone sky high. But God has had his hand on all of that. And I still hold to that. Unless God builds the house, the labour is in vain. So my particular position as pastor is to see that place filled with men, women, young people, children who are coming to know Christ as their Saviour. That place becomes a truly biblical church, community focused, reaching the hearts, the minds, the souls of those in our community who are hurting, and sharing with them the love that we have in God. And I'm sure people's lives will be changed. And I am so grateful to see this happening in my time, because as most people know now, I will be probably finishing in the ministry midway through next year. But quite simply, God has enabled me to see this come to fruition before I finish. And I am so grateful to God for that. And to everyone that's had a part in it. So many to mention. One of the things I said earlier on to somebody was, I have worked in the construction industry for years. It's been a long time since I have seen such quality of work that is within that centre. And that thrills me, because it's done for the Master.
Yes.
It's done for God.
And future-proofed.
Yes, yeah.
So carry on. You were going to say something, Claire?
Well, what I was going to say was that it's been absolutely fantastic, the fact that a lot of the groups that have been using the hall have still been able to carry on meeting in one way or another. One of the things that is very evident about our church is that the gifts of hospitality is incredible.
Yeah.
And the food focus, everything involves food. You know, when we arrived here, we'd been invited to all these different people's houses. I don't know how many different chocolate cakes we went through.
No.
But every time you went to a new house, we'd have chocolate cake in the sort of morning, then you go somewhere else and it'd be something else with cake, and then something else. We're gifted in this church.
Until I told them I like ginger biscuit.
Oh,
And then it changed.
I have to say, Eileen's chocolate cake, going to upset a lot of people, is gorgeous. Really, really nice. But we are gifted in this church, and it is wonderful that the community cafe is being carried on, and throughout all of this with the building work, it's grown. We have somebody who comes to see us quite regularly on a Monday, and she can't get over how it's grown, because she said it's just so warm, it's so welcoming. She says, I'm a complete stranger, and I was welcomed by, I think it was Lynn who actually welcomed her. And we've got that.
It's brilliant.
It is brilliant, and it's a testimony in itself, isn't it, really?
It is.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a fantastic new building, hopefully a fantastic cafe and church, and then obviously hoping for it to be, as you say, a real biblical hub and a life changer and a life transformer in the community.
Amen.
So sort of finishing a lengthy interview with the same question my daughter asked me last night. What are you going to be ordering when you go to the new cafe?
Oh, I would like one of their tomato and ham